The Black Messiah program is still at hand. The Black Messiah COINTEL program is still at hand. But now they're looking they're looking amongst the people now. They're looking at you and I, right? Superstars. They done found them and they done marked who they wanted their Black Messiahs to be. And they already showed us over and over, just from examples of how these rappers lived and died young with their ideas of what a Black Messiah would be. Now, if you're looking at the pattern, we're not going to make any presuppositions. We're just looking at the pattern. Black Messiah. They say this rapper was the Black Messiah. That rapper was the Black Messiah. Those rappers end up dying young. And those rappers also express such a wide duality of musical expression that one would be led to, if you're only hearing one side of it, you only see this artist as one way. If you make it to a big enough level, both of your contradictions will be considered equally popular. You can be a Tupac, where I Get Around and Dear Mama is spinning in the same playlist back in the 90s. Your contradictions and your duality that digs deep into what some would call witchcraft, this has a dynamic effect on the outcome of this ongoing study of the Black Messiah. They even had to come out with a movie saying Judas and the Black Messiah. They said, well, if we can't find people who want to be Jesus, let's try to find people who want to be Judas. Let's lead a movie with Judas being the title, Judas and the Black Messiah. Let's try that and see what happens. Did they not try it? Did they not come out with a title of a movie recently with that title? Did they not do it? Right? So they're trying anything to probe for this golden child who is the Black Messiah, and they see him. They know who he is. The gematria is known. The numerology points to them, because the Black Messiah is a group of people. They all fit under this Messiah archetype, but they're starting to wake up to a new form of the Messiah. And again, like I said in another video, not coming in as the suffering servant, but the return of the Messiah as king and ruler, the one whose sword comes out of his mouth. That's where the weapon is. This is what social media's part in making this project easier on both sides entails. It's easier for those who want to be more Christ-like to get the message out into the world, as Jesus says, put the message out into the world. You can do that very easily now, thanks to social media. You don't have to fly over to the UK to be able to minister your word out to somebody in the UK. You can do that now. So now the CIA don't have to run all over the planet. They don't have to send people hiding in the trees and hiding in the bushes. They got enough money to just move people right next to you, move them, across the street. Make sure that they're at the store when you're at the store. Whether you believe in that stuff or not is up for debate. It's up for speculation. There could be coincidences, 6 degrees of separation. But how do we not know that those 6 degrees of separation are manipulated? I mean, after all, the number 6 is being implied, and this is the number of man, not the number of a man. So don't look for a person with the number of 6, nor with the number 666. But it's the number of man. It's man, man, man. That's 3 6s. That's man, 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 with no emphasis on anything spiritual per se, but just the pure manipulation of the 3D experience from individual to individual, and eventually control over collectives. You do this for long enough and you're untouchable for long enough. On a 3D level, you wear the title of God. You wear the title of God. So now you have people that's being snatched into the astral realm while they're wide awake, because the astral realm, that cord that connects to the solar plexus chakra, that's usually what tethers a person in their dream world. Like when you're falling, you usually feel it in your core, in your stomach when you wake up. Like, whoa, I had a sinking feeling. Something startles you up. And when you're a kid, this may have meant you were getting ready to roll out of bed. Or if you were sleeping on your arm wrong, an animal in your dream will bite you to wake you up. But either way, you feel it in your core. And then comes the pins and needles from the sensation in the real world. And what makes this so tricky is that with this social media and the finding of the Black Messiah, an over saturation of information and advertisement will put us into a theta state just by using the palm of our hand. The moment we flip that rectangle screen on, we can be possibly put to sleep. Even though we think we're wide awake, we can be put smooth to sleep, as they say, smooth to sleep, being lullabied by our favorite content creators, being lullabied by our favorite programs, our favorite shows, being lullabied. It's nobody's fault. But if you're on autopilot, what they said in the Shadows movie, you can be like a mad dog running wild. You can be leashless. And dogs that are leashless and untrained for a civilized world run out into traffic as it used to go back in the days. Dogs used to get hit by cars more often in the past. So the Black Messiah is all about taking the leash off of every citizen. They're taking off that leash, but putting on other leashes that are probably too controversial to even get into conversations about in these spaces. And I'm not a controversial guy. I just want to make certain things more thought-provoking than meets the eye, which brings me into the distraction that is very effectively implemented in this Black Messiah COINTEL program as far as hip-hop rap music. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and so you can say I'm reaching, and you can say whatever you say in the comments. You know I respond to everything. Human, robot, good comment, bad comment. You know that. And I always, to the best of my ability, respond with the utmost respect and the utmost Yahawashai spirit, as a lot of communities would say. The exact replica of Golden Ray energy, because I understand what it is. It's not that me as a person, that I'm holy enough to be these things. It's just that I know these things. And so you know what deific masks to put on, and you wear a face long enough, the mask is gonna get stuck. So I tend to lead with respect and compassion. I don't base it on whether a person deserves it or not. No, respect is my way. So whether a person deserves respect or not, they're gonna get respect from me. Now, if a person is disrespectful, my goal is to immediately remove myself from their company. That's as far as my disrespect is going to go, just for my own personal fulfillment. That's my own personal code of ethics. But back to the Black Messiah and how rap music, for whatever reason, again, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to revolve around three categories. There's the trinity of sex, violence, and drugs. So they have their own triad that's ruling the hip hop of the rabbit. The hip hop of the rabbit can only hop around in this triangle and within these three realms or three cities, either sex, violence, or drugs. And you got to put money in all of them. Money has to, because money is like the water that these fish swim in this medium of sex, violence, and drugs. You can do the pyramid however you want to do it, but I'm basically saying there's like three categories that you see with most popular rap. I challenge you to look for anything that doesn't have these three elements in it. I mean, anything. Rap music that's popular. Now, if you want rap music that doesn't include this kind of stuff, you're going to be listening to me. I mean, I don't know who else you're going to be listening to. My music would, in the input that I have and the amount of music that I have out there and the message, how strikingly distinctive my both style, delivery, message, output, beats, sample choices, all of the above is head and shoulders different, a whole different universe from what is considered popular hip hop or popular rap music, when you see the night and day contrast and you see the number comparisons, there's two things to consider. So this is for when they're seeking out the Black Messiah, they're going to say this man comes up in obscurity. This is also written about in the scriptures. So they have their eye on me, but I'm not on the same watch list as a revolutionary might be, because nothing in my message says that I'm here to overthrow anything, nor am I here to overthrow anything. I'm not an overthrowing spirit. I'll defend myself just as much as the next person who's backed into a corner, but I'm not here to bring any kind of battle to anybody. What did they say in Isaiah? Comfort my people, Zion. I'm coming as a comforter. So the Black Messiah hip hop program, the hip hop piece of it, will bring you into these three categories. And where are you going to get any kind of Black Messiah out of that? No, that is the husk. They're using all of that popularity to sift out anybody else who has ability to express themselves with words poetically and have a be gifted with the mercurial hermetic spirit of loquaciousness to be able to enunciate and to have syllables and inflections that are very gifted, to have an oratorical gift, for their throat chakra to be to the point where they're living on a blue screen. Their throat chakra is so lit up. That's the blue energy center around the throat, the neck, ruled by Taurus. So as they graze and as they speak their message, you got that big category of that triangular delta of just three topics. And so you sift out however many tens of millions of rappers and MCs is going to come out of that. And R&B artists eventually went into that too, you understand? They started singing about that. It wasn't, you don't hear any R&B songs that talk about let's raise up a family, and the guy is riffing and singing with all his chops about bringing up a family and about to see everybody together at the cookout. There's no more music like that anymore. It's not. It's different now. The technotronics has taken over. It's to the point where AI is his own artist. You see what's going on right now in very recent news. AI is officially in the game, and AI is another sifter of the Black Messiah program to say, hey, look, the Black Messiah can't even hide in auto-tune. But it's not that they're looking for the Black Messiah. They already know who we are. But they also know not everybody is coming in as the suffering servant. And they know that there's also a group of Black Messiahs, those indigo children, those millennials from the 80s, whom they made a whole realm of thumb movement, hand-eye coordination training for, because now we use our thumbs more than we use the rest of our fingers to type. But in the millennial generation, Nintendo and Genesis and Super Nintendo, all of these things were created to get our thumbs ready for this age now. But that came in the 80s for the millennials. You see, there was still a forklift in the 70s. In the early 80s with Atari, it was still what was called a joystick. There was still what were called arcades. So there was still that factory industrial, last traces of industrial age, to the point where the video game is showing you it being fleshed out. More Black Messiah programming, just showing you the whole landscape of what the Black Messiah is being sought out in. What is the medium of it? What does it look like? But then, so now you go from the thumbs again. So that was all training. And so to get in and out of the pipeline, like the first games being Super Mario Brothers, to get in and out of the pipelines and to save the princess, we were trying to reach the divine feminine. You go through these worlds, you're jumping over ducks and Goombas, you're dealing with, and Goombas is something interesting too, and that's a whole nother thing. Ducks, you got Hammer Brothers, right? Back to the construction worker thing. You got the Hammer Brothers, and they're usually guarding the last levels, or they'll be the main people you'll see in the dungeon. But you get through all of that and you find out, oh, we made it. There's a mushroom waiting on you. That's a whole nother thing too, with the 3D, 4D connect in the third eye. You don't necessarily need shrooms to shroom. It's just your DMT, and you in a certain state of meditation or sinking deep into yourself quietly. entails that. And the Black Messiah co-intel higher level magicians, and again, you could say this is all theorized, but they can sniff this out because they have their own set of empaths that they flipped to, indigo children that they flipped to, which is also a big part of this war. Now, it's being funded by what's last of the boomers, but the boomers are not necessarily the ones who are controlling the flow of things. They're funding it. You understand? But as far as being the innovators, a lot of them probably slipped out of the technological forefront of things. They're probably more so just, they might be out the pasture now, just chilling, enjoying the wealth that was built up, etc. And making shows when they have to, showing up wherever they need to speak or, wherever they need to say hi at. But you have a lot of quiet millionaires and billionaires also. And you best believe that they have probably a strong monetary vested interest in this COINTEL Black Messiah program, which is probably all intel. Whenever you say co, that's two sides. And what only two sides is there? Them and us. Anything with co in front of it is an all-inclusive concept. But that's in higher dimension language. This is how these things are intended. And this is some of the spells that come in a prefix like co. Co-intelligence is all intelligence. Intelligence being grafted from your data, being siphoned off of your recordings. Whatever the case, all of this is for now, I guess, the watching of the Black Messiah group to see which of them are revolutionaries and which of them are true diplomats. Because truth be told, there has been a change in agenda. The wiping out of groups of people, that's not really so much a thing anymore as the automation and the monetizing of individuals for the benefit of another group. That's more so the flavor of the day now. That's what the babies of the capitalists and industrialists push. The capitalists and industrialists in a much smaller world where technology was much less prevalent was like, it's too many of them, or it's too many of whoever it is that we believe is competing for our flow of the resources. But now it's like, well, we can have all the resources if we just monetize everyone that's here. So let's keep them all around forever. Let's keep them around. Let's increase how long people last for the sole purpose of being able to harvest them. Black Messiah. Because in the harvesting, on this grid of people's energy constantly being drained out of them and siphoned, it becomes very easy and the spikes become very, very readily apparent who's giving out energy, who the reverse vampires are, because there's some people that's biting into your voice and want to influence what you say. So they're like vampires biting into your throat. But then you have also people who are giving energy from their throat, from what they have to say. They're pumping life into people. And they're giving energy instead of taking energy. You like, where are they getting this energy from? That's a subject perhaps for a whole nother video and another compilation of other videos that I've done, possibly even hundreds of them at this point, that they're getting this energy from nature, divinity, etc. They're drawing and siphoning this energy, even from their own thought power, from other realms. Some people say ancestors, some say other alien groups, right? Whatever you want to say, other dimensions. Either way, they have this influx of just energy to pour out. It doesn't matter what kind of physical condition they may be in. They always seem to have a relative sense of youth, a relative sense of vibrance, exuberance, but at the same time, it's control. So it can't be mistaken. You can't mistake excitement for eccentricity to the point where the person may be, off the handle. But these are the spikes in the grid that can be seen in who is being identified as Black Messiahs who are not revolutionaries. Revolutionaries, believe it or not, are draining because they pertain to riotous energy, whereas the person is going to say, I'm going to get up and do something. at the end, that either death or jail sentence is going to slow their vibration all the way back down again and bring it lower than they would like it to be. So no, that's not going to be a raise in vibration, even though it might be an uprising demonstration, you understand? So those are going to be categorized under the rabble rousers. You know, Barabbas, we want Barabbas. They're the rabble rousers, the Barabbas rousers. So people already know that, even though Jesus might be in front of Barabbas, that's not Jesus of, you know, Ben Yeshua. You know what I mean? That's not the other Jesus. That's not the Jesus that's coming out of Joseph and Mary's crib. So they know which one is which. There's rabble rousers, you know, because that Barabbas, whose name was also Jesus at the time, he was known for being an insurrectionist. So he was basically the other side of what a revolution is. So right in that storyline, you have the dichotomy expressed between rabble rouser and revolutionary. And they know that the revolutionary is the one that they have on the watch list to, believe it or not, actually bless later. So this whole shifting and disturbing of the world is just them sifting the weeds and pruning the branches of those who are in the way of those that are on the other watch list, that are just being watched because there are people on both the left and the right, of both good and evil, of both light and darkness. They all have a complete objective to elevate such magnanimous persons who know how to uplift all sides. They're looking for the all person, who is called the God revealer, not the rabble rousers. That's why they're being clipped down in their youth, because they're rabble rousers, but they want to identify that and keep people in a certain metaphorical cage who can only see things on a third dimensional level. Oh, there's another black man from the ghetto speaking out, and they took him out. That is a whole nother fake demiurge. Not to say that injustice isn't real, you understand, but that's a whole nother lower level demiurge that affects a more so geographical area, smaller than sometimes we want to acknowledge. America might be the mightiest, but it's still not the entire planet. You know what I mean? There's somebody rapping in New Zealand somewhere who's, you understand? It's different. You know, that's why a lot of superstars in this side of things, they almost freak out when they go do a show in Holland. They're like, man, they really love hip hop over there. I didn't know. Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't know. But the Black Messiah program extends even to those places, and those places are being considered under all of this too. That's why you have the emergence of a lot of rappers coming out of the UK. They're getting stronger in Canadian representation. You know, they're coming, and they're gonna start probably bringing more of them out of Africa. Probably, I think they will be next. I think they'll probably raise some up out of the K-pop circuit. That's probably next. That's if they want to go that way with the whole hip hop rendition of it, because you understand, poetry is one of the first forms of true word magic. If you're a poet, you're using your words to create a world, even if that world technically isn't there. You still get the respect of a Mark Twain, a Edgar Allan Poe, a Paul Laurence Dunbar, a Richard Wright. You still get the respect of a Shakespeare. You still get the respect of a writer. They still feel the world that the artist is in, even if it is categorized under surreal. It is still very real. Black messiahs are being sifted out in all of this, but again, you see the polarity and you see the contrast, the dividing line between the different groups. Is it rabble rousers or true revealers? Is it going to be revolution or revelation? Is it going to be revolution or revelation? Paper or plastic? Revolution or revelation? Revelation is plastic. Revolution, that's paper. Revelation is plastic. Revolution is paper. You know, revolutions get written like resolutions. You know, we're gonna the things that get burnt up is paper. Stores get burnt down, riots. But revelation, no, that's digital. That goes from mind to mind. That's dealing with a more less material transferring of information. So the black messiahs are being sifted out in all of this medium. But again, just like I said, both sides, under the wisdom of the all, the Most High, their ultimate goal is to bless those that are on the revelation side of the Black Messiah group rather than the revolution side. Both good and bad, their ultimate aim under the wisdom of the Most High is to bless those that are on the revelation side rather than the revolution side. And I'm intending to make this video long, very, very long. I mean, what I'm thinking is very, very long, because I want to paint an overall picture of what's going on, the whole thing, the entire thing. What is all of this? And what is it all leading to? And why hasn't this rapture happened? And what part of Revelation are we in? And who is the beast? And is this the mark? And is that the mark? Rather than asking all of these questions, you can see that in those questions, you have all of those answers. But you have to, again, there's another box outside of that box outside of that box. And if you're in only one box, still unpacking that to say you're looking in the sky, waiting for the sky to change, you're still in one very low level box. Not to call it low level, but a very entry level box. Let me say that. Not lower level, because at least you're in the house, but a entry level. Whereas the person with the corner office, the person with different offices, different locations, they're seeing a much bigger form of the packaging. They're seeing a much larger box, because they're standing outside of the box. Not only do they think outside of the box, they're living outside of the box that we're trying to think out of, because we're in the box, they're out of the box. And when you think of Schrodinger's cat, it gets a little scary. It said, well, you know, we're outside of the box. We don't know what's going on inside the box. But they do. Because inside the box, like Schrodinger's cat, the cat got poisoned inside of the box. Wasn't it like all kind of like deathly gases being, not to call the world Schrodinger and not to call the powers that be Schrodinger, but I'm saying like the difference between those who perhaps live well off comfortably versus those who don't have the same privileges, you could say that there's kind of like a box or a dividing line, so to speak, in between them, so that their realities have such a wide contrast, is what I'm saying. So the Black Messiah is being sifted through all of these. Yeah, you have multi-million-dollar creators who have elaborate studios and they're hopping on and off of real private jets, no green screen. And then you also have people who are filming themselves under a bridge. Both sides are being watched equally to see, is it revelation or revolution? Revolution, you see what happens with revolution, don't you? History keeps repeating itself over and over and over. You just get conflicts that keep rising up. That's all it is. It's just an ongoing fight. But not with revelation. With revelation, you change people. With revelation, society gets changed. If there was nothing but revolution, we would have never made it to the cell phone age in the first place. We would have still been dealing with sticks and stones, throwing rocks at each other. Not taking any time to build, not taking any time to work on what's being revealed to us, not taking any time to look at what's being revealed in nature, not taking any time to look at the simple revelation of how a spider could spin a web and then connect in a worldwide one, not looking at any kind of revelation of how the birds fly and you being able to invent an airline. You're too busy fighting and not enough time flighting. It's fight or flight. Flight doesn't always mean to flee. Sometimes rather than getting down in the fight, sometimes you just got to fly in the above realms. You got to understand that, okay, This beef is not between me and another man, because if I'm fighting another person, that's just another beef tomorrow. Don't he got people who care about him? That's going to be an ongoing conflict. You fight this person, that person got to get back, then this person got to get back. That's a trap. But revelation's not. Revolution is, but revelation's not. Revolution is, but revelation is not. And I know that sounds, you're looking at this like that's so anti-black of you. That's to say we don't need a revolution. No, we don't need a revolution. We don't need to be revolving. Don't you want to get out of the loop? Don't you want to get out of the box? Just because it's not a spherical thing to say think outside of the box, don't think that you're not getting caught up in a revolution. Yeah, so what is different expressed dimensionally? This is still this. You still going around and round and around. You know, whether it's in a square, whether it's in a triangle, whether it's in a trapezoid, whether it's in a, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, if you're going around in a labyrinth, that's a labyrinth. We were told that this thing is a maze, but if both ends are clipped off, you're not going around in a maze, you're going around in a labyrinth. When exits and entrances are sealed, you're going around in a labyrinth. When the game is rigged, when you're disenfranchised in higher levels and didn't know that whoever's holding you down has had a 5,000-year head start. You're in a labyrinth. So a labyrinth doesn't mean you have to figure it out. You're not trying to figure out a labyrinth because you're trapped in a labyrinth. There is no exit out of a labyrinth. A labyrinth is where now you're focused on, how can I break this wall? You touching the wall in different spots. Okay, since there is no exit, how am I going to break out? How am I going to break forth? Since they're not going to let me out, since they're not going to let this message get out, how do I push this message out? How do I make it irresistible? Since this isn't what they want to hear, how do I package it like something they like to hear? Since they don't feel like this is what they need to hear, how do I make it sound like something they want to hear? How do you push this out? If they can't deal with the conviction, maybe they will deal with the convincing. If they can't deal with the conviction, maybe they'll get it through the convincing. Hey, look, we're not here to be pervasive. We're here to be persuasive. We're not here to be pervasive. We're here to be persuasive. Black Messiah is a two group between those of revelation and those of revolution. Whichever side you choose, that's your solution.